Topic tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about how to fight anxiety. Big problem, especially our brothers in New York. It's not one day that they can't handle anxiety over there. So again, this class is in Zchut of Daniel B'Tova Basha, Reina Malka B'Tova Basha. Okay, we got a huge topic tonight. Okay, we're going to talk about how to fight anxiety and going from anxiety to calm confidence. Generally, we want to go from fighting anxiety to calm confidence. That's where we want to get. You can never be at your peak state in life unless you're calm. With a person who's constantly having anxiety, he's never going to be the best version of himself. If you're never going to be the best version of yourself, you're never going to be happy, and you're never going to be able to focus. So that's why today is so important, because at the end of the day, we're going to get to the core of how to fight anxiety and how to really make biggest changes in your lives. Again, these classes, like I said before, these classes are not motivational. These are transformational classes. That's why we have them every single day. Because we're talking about transforming your diet, transforming your exercise, everything. It's across the board. It's not just because I'm Jewish, I can be out of shape, I can be here. It's got to be, we have to be on top of our game. So it's not just about Torah, it's about transformation. That means you have to transform your mind. Reb Nachman clearly said that the main obstacles people have today is in their mind. And the reason why people are not having success in certain areas of their life is because of the doubts in their mind. So if we don't fix the mind, everything else is purposeless. So if we got to be able to build trust. So a person that has anxiety constantly has worry and constantly has cortisol all day long, and it's going to be very hard for him overall to be able to focus. Imagine if a person would be married to somebody, God forbid, that they didn't trust. How would your life be? Can you imagine how would your life be? You couldn't sleep. Every single day, where's the phone? They don't answer text message. Oh my God, where are they? You'd be constantly turned on and you couldn't live a life. It would be physically impossible. I could tell you, listen, think positively. But if you don't trust the person, we could think all day long. You can go to workshop meetings, you can go to Tony Robbins, you can go to anywhere you want. But if at the end of the day, if you don't have the basic trust in the person, it's going to drive you crazy. You're not going to be able to be settled. So that's why we're going to have to talk about trust. Because at the end of the day, without the core trust, we really have nothing. You can't fix a thought without fixing the core belief. The core belief has to be trust in Hashem. And I'm going to show you what Reb Nachman says about trust. How trust actually creates a vessel. Chef is always coming down, but there's no vessels. Why? Because we do the opposite. We worry about the problem. I mean, people always tell me, how could I not worry about it? Like, what have you done worrying about it? Absolutely nothing. Every time you worry, you're actually pushing away something from coming to you. That's the dangerous part about worry. Many times I've been in business with certain people, and they've gotten so anxious on the deal, and they're worried, they got upset, and instead of the money coming in, I had to wait another month for this guy. So I told the guy, listen buddy, I'll give you whatever you want, just get out of the deal. Because you're causing me money. You're causing me money by your worry and your impatience. Because we have a system today that Hashem wants you to have trust. That's the main thing. If we get to the core belief, if you build a good trust in Hashem, everything else is resolved. If you don't have trust, you have absolutely nothing. I can talk to you about mindfulness. I can talk to you about meditation. I can talk to you about whatever you want. You can bring the best speaker here in the world. But if you don't have the trust, if you don't believe in your partner, if you don't believe, for example, that your business partner is not cheating on you, then you're never going to have a peace of mind. You got to be honest with yourselves. So that's the core. So what happens is confident people view life very differently than people who are anxious. Confident people view life as a challenge. When a person's confident, he views life as a challenge. He knows he has to have challenges before he succeeds. Anxious people, they view life as a threat. What are they telling themselves? I don't have what it takes to make it. When you have anxiety, you're not, God forbid, a person doesn't have trust, the first thing he's saying is, I don't have what it takes to make it. And when you're sending that message upstairs, remember, Hashem is a co-creator. He can only create what you're creating. So we're always creating something. when energy is thought, so we're always creating something. So the difference between anxious people and confident people, the confident person says, I can take this challenge on in my life. I've done it before. It's going to happen. I have Hashem's help, and that's it. Anxious people are always worried, and they basically say, I don't have what it takes. So with that mentality, it's very difficult to have willpower. Because we need willpower for everything. 95% of resolutions are not met. Why? We don't have the willpower. We don't have the concentration. We get hit with a couple nicks on the way and we quit. Why are so many obstacles? Even to get people to read this 40-day Psalms. I did this as an exercise because I said, listen, if you can't concentrate and take 10 minutes and slow down for 40 days straight and read something for 10 minutes, then we need to work on our focus. We need to focus. I'm not going to tell people, listen, here's more Torah, here's more Torah, here's more Torah. Meanwhile, the guy is so anxious that he's worried about paying his bills. What's going to come in? Honestly, what can possibly come into the guy? Absolutely nothing. So that's the first thing we need to talk about is trust. Rav Nachman says something very, very beautiful about trust. And once you hear this, you're going to have a different way of thinking about trust. That means you need to be obsessed with trusting Hashem. You need to be obsessed with this, with trust. It's not something that could be negotiable. You have to go all in. Trust is not something you could say, you know what, one day I trusted, another day I don't trust Hashem. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be up and down. You need to go all in. That's one thing about if you see Tony Robbins and you see these guys speaking, there's a purpose why they're 3-4 day meetings. Because he wants you to be immersed so much in believing and changing your values and changing your beliefs. Without that, it doesn't last. It has to be an immersion. Same thing with trusting in God. Has to be an immersion. We know clearly a lot of people are dealing with a lot of financial problems. And unfortunately, they do nothing more but worry. So here's enough leverage for you to realize what's actually happening when you don't have trust. Okay? The Sefer Divrei Yisrael says something very, very simple. He says, what happens when a person has anxiety and depression, it blocks your pipelines to bring blessing to you. You're blocking the pipelines. You are causing the pipelines to be blocked. If you hear that line, you should say, whoa. What have I blocked in my life so far? Because of what? Because what I think about the future, because what I think about the past, because I'm not present. It's because there's a lack of trust. There's a lack of trust. That's the bottom line. People that are anxious, it's tied to no trust. It's very tied to no trust and tied to meaning. Now, a lot of us, unfortunately, want to be in control of the situation, right? The Jews love to control things, right? They love to control. Wives love to control their husbands. We like to control. We want to see the outcome. We're outcome obsession oriented. We don't enjoy the journey. We're all focused about the outcome. What's going to happen? When is this going to be over? You don't realize that there's a journey happening. And you're supposed to become a better person in that journey. You're supposed to be closer to Hashem. So people that are outcome obsession is, unfortunately, you want to be able to control. The more you try to control life, the more God says you're absolutely out of control. In the recovery community, they use this prayer called the serenity prayer. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. How much time do we worry about things we can't change? You can change one thing in your life, what you focus on every day. What you focus, how much trust you have. That's in your control. Everything else, it's up to Hashem, honestly. You can't control absolutely nothing. I see the past couple of days, people are wasting so much time about talking about some guy in Boca that he's going to talk in the synagogue, and hours and hours and hours. And I tell people, listen, it's a full-time job working on yourself. You're going to worry about somebody else? I have a full-time job working on me. I'm going to worry about other people, who's going to talk, who's going to talk. We're not in control of these things. You can voice your opinion, but at the end of the day, you got to stop giving energy to things you can't control. Because that's going to make you nuts. You can't control. You can't control a Moroccan wife. You can't control it. You can only dodge. Just kidding. We always have to throw one Moroccan joke in. It just has to happen. It just has to happen. So the bottom line is, you can't control everything in life. We gave the example before. You have to shoot the arrow. You have to control that, make sure that the arrow is going straight. Now, wherever the arrow goes, after you shoot it, that's up to Hashem. But if you're trying to control, if the wind's going to come tomorrow, if the arrow is going to hit the right target, then your life is going to be miserable. And that's at the end of the day, lack of trust. So the trust gives us something very, very great. It gives us the ability to have a dimension in time. Look what he's going to say here. He says something really. When I heard this lesson 4 or 5 years ago, it really changed my life. This lesson, because it clearly says it black and white. When you look at something, right, you give it dimension of time. For example, the more we look at our Creator, the more you look up, the more He looks down at you. Right? The more you look down, the more you're depressed. When people don't trust God, what do? They're not looking up. They're saying, why me? You got the wrong guy. Even though maybe this could be the next challenge for you for the rest of your life. But when a person doesn't have trust, he doesn't look up. And in order to have a vessel to receive, you need a vessel. And that could be only done by looking. Looking up. I'm not asking you to go to Morocco and buy a kamia. I'm not asking you to go eat a certain food. I'm asking you to have simplicity and basic trust. Because that's what we're off here. We're off on everything else you tried. You tried this, you tried that, you tried that. But you haven't tried the basics. Trust in God. You haven't tried the basics. Everything else you tried. If we realize what areas that we have a lot of success in our lives, it's because we have a lot of confidence in those areas. We have a tremendous amount of confidence in certain parts of areas. If you look at the word confidence, it comes from the Latin word confidere, intense trust. What happens when people pull money out of markets? They don't trust the market. They don't trust the economy in a certain country. Europe is a disaster right now. People don't have trust. So when there's a lack of trust, money's pulled away. There's no light. As soon as people say, I can't trust you, you cut. The same thing. God gives things to people he can trust. Bottom line, he gives things to people he can trust. Because if he can't trust you, then where are you holding? So this is what he says here, something very beautiful. He's saying when a person looks, what do you do when you look? You actually create, there's a direct light and there's a reflected light. Somebody with a lot of trust and good vision can see something very far away. He can plan a goal, he already sees his success. Somebody who's very weak, he has very small vision. He can't see past 5-10 yards. Your vision is determined on your trust. The ability for you to see the emunah and to see how life is going to go for you is the ability that you're able to look. That's why a blind man is never satiated, because he can't see it. Same thing, when you don't see it and you don't trust, you'll never be able to see it. You'll be able to, what are you going to do? You're going to go into anxiety. So that's what he's saying here. Know that looking creates a vessel, dimension and time, right? Because everything comes at a certain time. It comes with dimension and time. That means Shefa is always coming. The thing that you need is always coming. How do you bring it closer to you? Law of attraction, number one. And what's the Jewish law of attraction? Through trust. The only way you can bring something closer to you is through trust. There's no other thing. Trust is like literally taking a big magnet in your life and pulling it to you. That's what trust does. It brings the object that you need closer to you. What does anxiety do? What does anger do? Depression? Moves it back. So you have either you're going into trust or you're going into anxiety. At all times. Whether you're calm, you have emunah, you're patient, the item comes to you. The minute you start panicking, that's why panic attacks. People have panic attacks. What happens? Okay, push away 2 more months. The more you worry about something, the less it comes to you. It's an unbelievable lesson. This lesson should tell you, whoa, what the hell have I been thinking about lately? What am I thinking in my life that I'm so worried about? And the first question people say, how can I not worry? That's the number one response I get from people. I said, you're not doing nothing. You're actually putting yourself in constricted consciousness. When you worry about something, you don't allow something good to come to you. You're almost putting like an anti-magnet. You're almost doing the opposite. That's why I scream so much about this stuff. Because at the end of the day, we're suffering for absolutely no reason. And guess what happens when you don't trust? You can't breathe. You can't breathe. And the brain needs contemplation through the breath. What makes a person think clearly? His breath. That's why the Jews says they didn't listen to Moshe. They had a kotzer ruach. They had a shortness of breath. So their life was hard. Understand? They had a shortness of breath. They didn't listen to Moshe. They had a shortness of breath. So their life was hard. Why is the breath in life being hard? Because you can't think your way out of a problem if you don't trust. So that's what he's saying. Note too, that looking creates a vessel. There's light coming down, but I need a vessel. Number one thing, I need a vessel. Only through trust can I build a vessel. The more you worry, the more anxiety you have, the less your vessel is created. And then you're just waiting, and you say, where's God here? Where's God in this situation? How could he do this to me? You didn't trust. You didn't look. You don't have a vessel. That's the problem. That's the problem. So he's saying here, because when a person sees an object, it lacks dimension and time. But by looking at it, it requires both. As it says, He made you suffer and let you go hungry. With the Jews, He made them suffer. God made them suffer. He let them go hungry. And then He fed them the manna. Right? One who sees what he cannot eat cannot be equated. So that's why this is the benefits of trust. Every time there's one pasuk that will be used when we say for Parnasa, everybody has concentration on this one. The guy could be on the phone, have the prayer. Poteach es yadecha. He's like putting his hands up like like he's ready to catch the golden goose. In order to say Poteach es yadecha, you have to look. What does it say before? Eine kol alecha yisaberu. When I look up to you with trust, then you send the bounty. You don't say Poteach es yadecha just like that. First, you have to say Eine kol alecha. According to the amount of time you spend looking up, you get the shefa. So the more time you spend worrying, the more time, God forbid, 90% of illnesses today are related to stress because there's no trust. Like I said, if your wife was cheating on you and you thought she was cheating on you, you won't be able to function. I promise you. If your business partner, you won't be able to function. The same thing. If you think God thinks that you're not trusting Him, there's no relationship. There's no relationship between you and Him. There's no relationship. There's no zivug. There's no zivug. There's no shefa, and that's it. And that's it. And then, God forbid, you start taking anxiety pills. For what? Because you didn't have trust. And I see this all day long. So the problem is, it's very simple. When you don't have dat, when you don't have knowledge, you suffer. All suffering is a lack of dat. Very clearly. That's why I'm obsessed with wisdom. I tell people, I can tell you by your questions if you're listening to the classes. The questions you ask me, I can tell you if you're listening or not. If you're not listening, it's because you're not getting the dat. You're not getting the knowledge, because that answer is already in the class. So why I do these classes is because this is the only way to get out of a problem is through dat. You can't get out of a problem if you don't have the brain to get out of the problem. You can't get out of it. But most people, what happens when they flip out in life, they try to control the situations, they're worried, anxiety, and then they say, what's going on here? And then you see addictions, aggressions, depressions, etc. And all you had to do is trust. That's all. That's all God wants from you. He doesn't want nothing more but simplicity. But, to trust, you need to build a relationship. That's why I'm so into the relationship concept. We're making life so difficult. So when everybody looks, it says, when everybody looks up to you with hope, look up, you give them their sustenance at its time. Specifically in its time, at the very time one needs it. You can need something, it can come to you in 2 years. But when you look with trust, it comes to you right away. Comes to you right away. So you have to do a lot of teshuvah and realize, wow, I'm embarrassed. God, I'm embarrassed that I didn't realize it wasn't you. It was me not trusting you. And that's why I'm in the hole I'm in. That's the first question you got to do is Bodhidutan. Is saying, whoa, I didn't know there was something called dimension in time and this. Did you ask? No. That's the key to Shefa. The key to Shefa is not looking at the law of attraction. You can look at the law of attraction all day long. But if you don't have the trust, people usually look at the law of attraction because they're trying to find a shortcut to just having trust. So you're trying to find other things to stimulate you to think, oh, if I look at a screen and I focus on money, it's going to come to me. Who's giving you the money? Bob Proctor? Who's giving you the money? Hashem's giving you the money. So that's really where I made the biggest. Reb Nachman's really, his messages are so clear. And I said, and you know what you say to yourself? I realize why I'm suffering in certain parts of my life is because I'm a nervous wreck in certain parts of my area. So that's what happens when you have anxiety. It literally shuts your pipelines down. And if it shuts your pipelines down, then you have a problem. Then you start looking for other businesses. Oh, it's not this, it's not me, it's the business. Oh, it's not this, it's not. No. You have no trust. If you have no trust, then there's no marriage. There's no trust, there's no relationship. If there's no trust, then your view of God is going to be a view of a very fearful attitude towards God. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have anxiety, and what do people do with anxiety? They withdraw. They just withdraw from the situation. Leave me alone. I'm too stressed out. But let me help you with the stress. Why are you stressed out? I'm too stressed out, leave me alone. But don't you want to fix the problem? No, I'm too stressed out. Okay, I understand. But you're not going anywhere like this. Don't bother me. Okay. So this is the mentality that I have, and I see, wow, you're suffering for no reason. You have your whole life ahead of you. You could have been married already if you didn't worry every time on a date that the person was not going to commit to it. It gives you your life back. That's what happens. When you have trust, all of a sudden you have a lot more time on your hands because you don't spend 4 or 5 hours thinking about garbage. It'd be nice to have an extra 5 hours on your day. Remember, it's not what exhausts us in life is not the situation. It's the thought of the situation. What does the situation mean to me? It's not the situation. What does it mean to me? What does it mean to me? Do you guys honestly think God made the world so difficult for people that you think He made it so difficult for people that they had to do all kinds of crazy things to rely on money? You don't think God has so much chef in the world? And how come all the calm people always make more and the people that are struggling are always struggling more? How come that's happening? There's a reason why. It's not an unfair adjustment, but the calm people, they know where the money comes from. So why should I spend time worrying about something? Why should I spend time worrying about something? And the fact is that you have to understand, if you're trying to, I spoke about this the other day, people are trying to fix their thoughts. They don't understand why they're getting negative thoughts all the time. And I said, remember, your thoughts come from your beliefs. Whatever your core belief is, if your belief is, I'm not going to be able to make money, it's hard to make money, that's your belief. You created that belief. So you're going to think that way. I can't change my thoughts until I change my beliefs. The belief has to be the core problem. I have to go into my beliefs. I have emunah, then I think differently. I don't have emunah, oh my God, what am I going to do? So your beliefs determine your thoughts. Whatever you believe, if you have no self-confidence, you're going to think, I can't speak, I can't make money, I can't do this. You're going to think that way because of what you believe about yourself. And then whatever you think, what happens after what you think? Whatever you think, you speak. Correct? You don't just speak unless you have Tourette's. Blah, 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 blah. You normally don't just do that. What do? Whatever you think about, oh my God, I'm never going to get married. Oh my God, I'm not going to make money. What am I going to do? What, did you just come to that realization just like that? No. It was a belief that turned into a thought that turned into speech. Now, we are commanded to be careful with what we speak about. Because when you speak something, you sort of open your mouth up to negative prosecuting angels. That basically said, abracadabra, as you say, it shall be. So if I don't have trust in God, then I'm going to say a lot of stupid things. Like, I can't make money. Oh, you're right, you can't make money. You said it. Why should reality change? You can't talk defeat and expect to win. You can't talk defeat and expect to win. I'm going to lose the game. You're right, you're going to lose the game. You said it. Because that's your belief, and that's what you're thinking about, and that's what you're going to say. And then whatever you say, you open up the mouth to the Satan, and then what happens? Then the klipa can come into you. Abraham Avinu, the first man in the world, the first man that was the first person to have emunah. The minute he questioned God and says, how, God told him, you're going to inherit it, you're going to be bigger than the stars in the world, you're going to inherit everything. What did Abraham Avinu say? How will I know? What happened, how will I know? From that how will I know comment, four galuts are from that comment. The minute Yosef HaTzadik says, please put in a good word for me, the minute he didn't have the 100% trust in God, oh really? 2 more years in jail. You have no idea the power of speech. You have no idea. I'm so careful with my speech, especially about speaking bad about myself. Why would I do that? And you see all day long people are speaking bad about themselves. They don't. That's why Rabbi Rush said one thing. He said the Satan's at the beach. He says people are prosecuting themselves. He doesn't even need to bother anybody anymore. The Satan's already at the beach. He took off. He didn't realize it was going to be this easy. He's been on vacation. Because people are talking defeat about themselves. All day long you're talking defeat. When you talk defeat, that's your reality. Because that's the power of speech. So when we believe differently, if I have self-confidence, I would never say, I can't get married. Because my belief is there. So you can't fix the speech without fixing the belief. You can't fix the thoughts without fixing the belief. So after your speech is what it says, then it becomes your habit. Then that's where bad habits come. I can't work out. So what do? When you come home, you put the TV on instead of working out because that becomes your habits. Your habits are determined by your words. I can't do this. I can't do this. So you go into comfort instead of going into growth. You understand? All the things, but it all starts with the belief. The belief is the number one thing. The trust, the belief, the emunah. That's why all suffering is because of a lack of emunah, a lack of belief. So when people tell me, I don't have time to do his bodhidut. I said, you have 99 problems and you don't have time to do his bodhidut? Because you don't believe it. You don't even believe in the prayer. You don't believe in the prayer. You don't believe in this. How can you open up a chance for a person to receive some kind of happiness? How could you do it? Tell me how could you do it? So what do? We entertain ourselves. Drugs, alcohol, excessive things just to get our heads off of it. And that's not going to last, because that's not going to help your soul. Your soul is, when you have a solid trust in God, nobody can affect you. Nobody can do nothing to you. Your mother-in-law could scream at you, and it wouldn't make a difference to you. You know that I have trust in God. Everything that happens is for the best. I'm not getting personal here, by the way. Nobody can affect you. So what happens after your actions become your habits? Then your habits become your values, and then there goes your destiny. After that, whatever your values become your destiny. So look where it just goes down and down and down. Down and down and down. These things, I can't fix my habits if I don't fix my belief. I can't fix my values if I don't fix my belief. I can't fix my destiny if I don't fix my belief. My belief is the key. Emunah is the key. Emunah is the key. Trust is the key, because trust gives us a vessel into which we receive. And all kinds of anxiety, all kinds of other emotions are just a lack of this. It's only a result of this not being strong. You have to stop spending your time on trying to find other gurus. You have to just go back to basics and say, God, I don't trust you. Why don't I trust you? Because all the evidence in my life. But why did the evidence happen? Oh, this happened because of that. Because you're viewing life as a threat. And what happens when you view life as a threat? Your amygdala is on all the time. So you can't have good habits if you're constantly wired. 5 wonderful things about constant chronic stress that it does to your brain, if anybody's interested in that. Stress kills free radicals that kill brain cells. It doesn't allow you to produce new brain. It doesn't allow you to expand your brain. Your brain is basically neuroplasticity. It can expand, it can contract. It's like plastic at all times. Exercise can make it go bigger. Stress can make it go smaller. So your actual brain could become smaller. So if your trust is not there, then you're going to not be able to have the mental capacity to have the willpower to fix. That's what Reb Nachman says. There is no healing without belief. Studies are showing now 33% better chance you have if you have belief. This is scientists are coming up with that. Showing studies, 33% better studies. Placebo effect. All of a sudden the guy thought a little pill is going to heal him. He has new belief. So his brain reacts differently. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real and fake. It doesn't know the difference. But if you can master your focus all day long, if you can master what your mind is focused on and say, wow, why am I worried about something? Am I in control of it? Put the serenity key. Bring your serenity key back and say, can I control the situation? No. Chances are no. Whatever you're stressing about, I promise you, you can't control it. Most of the things. You shoot the arrow and stop worrying. That's why I like to talk to people, and I realize at the end of the day, it's just a lack of faith. And that's why the Gemara says, if a person's running out of money, what should he do? What do you think he should do if a person's running out of money? Go get a loan, right? Give charity. Right? Tell me, go get a loan. Go call a friend. Tell me, what do people do when they need money? Go get a loan. Right? Put themselves in more debt. What are you supposed to do? What does the Gemara tell you? The number one segula. You see, people try everything else, but they don't try the Torah. That's what bothers me. Gemara tells you, give charity. Why? Because you shut your pipelines down. It's a pipeline problem. It's not a money problem. What do you mean? I'm going to run out of money? I'm going to have nothing in my pocket? You want me to be poor on the street? No. God needs you to open up your pipelines. And you close your pipelines because of anxiety and depression. So now what do you need to do? You need to undo it. When you upline your pipelines, then you can have some kind of shefa coming to you. So I know when it's a sign that something's off, it's a sign that I worry too much about the situation. What do? Give charity to this. All of a sudden, the situation gets fixed. It's unbelievable, the system. Unbelievable how the system works. But you got to know the system. It doesn't make sense sometimes, the system. We say, what am I going to give money? And sometimes I tell people, do me a favor, just give charity. I know it doesn't make sense to you. Not everything has to make sense to you. What do you mean giving charity? The guy gave charity, all of a sudden, this deal came in. Because everything, remember, is a blockage. It's a blockage issue. It's not a lack of light. That's what people have to understand. Nobody's a bad person. People say, how can I come closer to God? Look how bad I've done. No. You are a soul. Now, you put a lot of layers on your soul by your excess. Anything in excess puts a layer on your soul. It's not that your soul is part of God. You can't have a bad soul. Hey, this guy has a bad soul. It's not possible. It's the soul, it just has a lot of layers, and a lot of layers preventing light from coming to it. So if people tell me I'm the worst person in the world, I did this, I say, okay, so let's just remove layers. But other rabbis will tell you, you're going to go to hell, you're going to go to this, you're going to go to that hell, that hell. I'm like, that's not. The key to helping people is warmth and hope. You want to help somebody? Rav Nachman's number one message. Warmth and hope. Never will Rav Nachman spend time talking about other rabbis, talking about other religions. There's no time for that. It's a full-time job working on trust. It's a full-time job working on yourself. To be worried about what other people are doing, what other classes are happening in the world. It's not your problem. Your problem is here. This is what I need to worry about. But people spend all the time, look what happened here, look what happened here, look what happened here. What is that? How is that going to make you better? It's not. Focus on trust and focus on getting to know yourself. So another view, a consciousness scale. If a person's he's disappointed in life, disappointment leads to what? Desire. When you're disappointment, you're going to desire something. Food, sex, money, something. It's correlated. Person doesn't sin when he's happy. No such thing. I'm here in drug rehab because I was so happy I took a drug. I never heard that one. I'm waiting to hear that one case. Doesn't happen. A guy's always that because he's disappointed. He didn't view life, and he could just be disappointed because he didn't have trust. He didn't have simple, basic trust. Remember, trust is what gives us the vessel. Vessel comes from trust. No trust, no vessel. No vessel, no shefa. Very simple. It's not complicated. This is the key to money. You want to know the one key to money? Is this. That's why the Jews had to do every single day. The man came down. It came down every single day. Why didn't it come down one time, 30-day Costco? I'm good for 30 days. Why didn't it come down? 30-day supply of man. That's it. Because he doesn't want to he wants you to look up to him every day. He doesn't want this relationship of come back in 30 days and I'll talk to you when I need something. This is not what God wants from you. He wants a relationship. He wants you to rely on him only for your sustenance. He doesn't want you to rely on your neighbor. He doesn't want to rely on anybody else. When you put trust in man, Tehillim says very clearly, cursed is the person who trusted man. I learned this lesson very costly. All these lessons I'm talking to you about have cost me big money. I trusted in people instead of trusting in God. I fell. These lessons didn't come to me cheap. I'm in Breslov for 17 years. I paid big prices to get this wisdom out to people. This was not free. I didn't learn this at a seminar. I learned this through hard knocks and getting hit. So I'm trying to tell you, listen guys, I've been through the ropes. I'm in business. I know when I don't trust, I have a problem. I have a challenge in an area. And then what do I say to myself? I don't have what it takes to take this. So what do? You shut down. When you don't have trust, you say, I don't have what it takes. So you have anxiety. That's the number one thing you're saying to. And then it's all connected to breathing. So let's talk about breathing a little bit. We know the first way for a person to enter the moment is through his breath. We're very future-oriented. Anxious people are very future-oriented. They're worried about the future, right? They're always future-oriented, and they're usually not breathing. When you're stressed out, how do you breathe? You have a kotzer ruach. You have a very short breath, right? Short breath is an indication of Rav Nachman is something very beautiful. He says he could tell you your trust level in God by your lungs. He says this 260 years ago. How many cigarettes you're smoking a day? I can tell you how your trust level is in God. I have secretaries, chimneys, upstairs. They get an email, 3 cigarettes. I tell them, how many cigarettes is this email costing you? 2 or 3? I play a joke with them. I said, how long have you been doing this? How have you been doing with the cigarettes? 3 cigarettes, 4 cigarettes? How many packs did you smoke today? I said, why don't you try to have a little faith? How can I have faith? Look what's happening to me. This is the response I get. And I just laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. Because there's a very, very simple rule. If you don't have mercy for yourself, God can't have mercy on you. Very simple rule. Number 1 rule in life. You can't have mercy on somebody who does not want to have mercy on themselves. If you don't care about your health, God can't care about your health. Mesilat Yesharim says that all the time. You can't have mercy if you don't have mercy on yourself. Have some mercy on yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to try this new thing. Tell your wife, tell your husband, I heard about this new thing called trust. Did you ever hear about it? I heard it from a class. Did you know what it sounds like? Yeah, try it. So he says here, Reb Nachman, he says here that when a person's soul is like a lamp, he says a man's soul is linked to a candle. Just think of your soul as a candle, okay? Just as a candle doesn't go out by itself, it needs oil, right? A candle needs oil. The oil is your intellect, right? We have something blocking the intellect. What do we have? We have our lungs, we have our heart. What is the heart responsible? For all the passions, all the passions, all the desires, all the heat. That's why we have to be careful with our heart. We have to always cool our heart down. When you listen to a class, you're a little more calm. Why are you more calm all of a sudden? Why are a person's more calm when he listens to a class? Because Torah calms your heart. You understand? Torah, you have 5 lungs. The Torah represents the wind. It's like a fan that cools down the heart. So guess what? If the lungs are cooling down the heart, then the neshama, the soul, lights up. The guy has intelligence. He has contemplation. Look up the studies between breathing and how your brain functions. They all tell you, non-religious, non-Jewish people, you have to be able to breathe properly. It's all about tapping into your breath. Even in top sports starts, they tell you, how were you able to run these miles? I was able to master my breathing. They were able to master their breathing. Mastering your breathing means mastering your focus. You're able to be focused. If I'm stressed and I have anxiety, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't think. I'm going to go into comfort. I'm going to go into something that I don't want. Why can't I breathe? Because I don't have trust. I don't have trust. I don't believe. I don't trust. I don't believe in a new day. When you don't trust in God, you're basically saying, I don't believe in a new day. I don't believe. What? You can take my problem away from me one day? Yes. Every single day in his bodedut, I say, today is a brand new day. Brand new creation, new things can happen. Also, people have a lot of social anxiety. And this is the common thing. There's a lot of social anxiety talking to people. So what's a lack of social anxiety? It's usually lack of confidence. What's the best way to get rid of social anxiety? Go embarrass yourself in front of Hashem first. Go talk to Hashem. Do your embarrassment there, and then the person's nothing to you. You'll be afraid of nothing. But when you don't embarrass yourself in front of Hashem, then you're going to get embarrassed here. Part of his bodedut, part of it is doing, what are we doing? We're actually repenting for our sins. God, I spoke about that person wrong. So when I get calm, when I get that calmness, when I do his bodedut, what do I have in social anxiety? Who are you? Who are you? I'm already calm. But when you don't do that, then you have social anxiety. Because you're afraid of somebody else. You're afraid of what people are going to think of you. But when you know yourself, when you get into your soul level, you don't need approval. We spoke about yesterday's class the other day. The more limited your intellect, the more approval you need. Right? The smaller your head, the bigger your mouth. See people, big mouths, small heads, guarantee you. Big mouths, I guarantee you small head. Because a person doesn't need to prove himself. He doesn't need to prove himself. So what he's saying here is we have to exit our mind and enter the moment. When you're present, you're thinking properly, you're focused, and all anxiety goes away. But I can't have the breathing without the trust. It goes back to the belief. Everything goes back to the belief. That's when the Jews were leaving Israel, and they were nervous that the Amaleks were coming. What did the God say? The Lord said to Moshe, "Why do you cry out to me? Stop crying. Move. Stop crying." He told the Jews, "Stop crying and move. Have trust in me." What is he saying here? Speak to the children and tell them to move forward. God could have told Moshe to stretch out his hand and towards the sea and split it. All they must do, Rashi says, all they must do is move forward, and I will split the sea for you. So when you have a fear in your life that's stopping you from going, what are you supposed to do? Move forward. God will take care of the rest if you have trust. Why are you not moving forward? Because you have a fear. God's telling you, stop talking. Move. Move, move, move. I tell people all the time, you need to move. You're doing a lot of talking right now. You're doing a lot of thinking, and you're not moving. You know, your mind is moving, your legs are not moving. The legs have to be moving, and the mind has to be shut. That's what God's telling you right there. He's telling you in this week's parsha. And what happened? The sea was up to Nachshon ben Aminadab, up to his face. And he went all in, and the sea split. God wants you to go all in on the trust. He wants you to go all in. He says, the more a person's afraid, you know what's going to do when a person has regret over something in his life? You know what? I can't believe I didn't do this project because I was so afraid. What do you think is going to happen to your brain? How long are you going to think about that? I didn't go out with the guy because I was afraid of social anxiety. I was afraid. I'm anxious. I had this girl the other day. She didn't want to go out with this guy because she had too much anxiety that day. I said, let me ask you a question. If this behavior continues, you're going to eventually turn down your husband because you feel anxiety. You have to ignore your feelings. You have to start working with trust. When you have trust, all the emotions go away, all the rest of the garbage go away, and you have to say, okay, it's not the time right now to talk about feelings. Right now, I got to move. That's why even God says, stop praying already. Just move. He's telling them, stop praying already. And that's what people are doing. They're not moving. So when a person's able to have no fear, he goes into everything, and he basically goes into everything like the sea split was. We all have a sea that's in front of us that we need to split. Everybody has a sea in front of them that needs to split, that they need to split. And there has to be a combination of prayer and moving. It doesn't split by itself. That's not what the Torah's message. I've yet to see a sea split using a remote control. I've yet to see a sea split using a remote control. I've yet to see it. The way sea splits is very simple. You gotta take massive action, and you have to have massive trust. That's all you can do. You can't do nothing else. Worrying is the opposite. So now you have to think about something. You know, what am I doing right now? I just wasted 3 hours worrying. What is that doing to me? It's probably pushing the thing that I wanted to have. It could have came to me already, but what did I do? I worried myself out of the problem. You know, there's a great book, Anti-Fragile, and it says very simple. There's 2 types of people. One guy has a little flame, right? Is a candle with a little flame. The other guy is a torch. When a wind comes, the little flame is knocked out. The guy with no trust, he's like the little candle, little Hanukkah candle. A little wind, a little problem, he's finished. The guy with the torch, what does fire do to a torch? What does wind do to a torch? It moves him forward. It gives him more. So your problems are supposed to fuel you. We can't fuel our problems. Our problems need to fuel us. God gave you a challenge because He wants you to get you to the next level. He wants you to get you to the next level. That's why challenges come. So your attitude should be, I got to take this challenge on because otherwise the sea's not splitting. If I don't move, there's no sea being split. If I don't move, if I don't take massive action, the sea's not split. How am I going to take action? What am I going to do? What happens if I fail? So what? If you fail, you try again. We spoke about the chicken soup for the soul. Jack Canfield, he got denied by 144 publishers. You understand? 144 publishers. You know what kind of mind frame you have to say, I'm still sticking with this? Because he had the vision in his head. This book is going to be a $1 billion. I think he sold $1 billion in that book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. I think it was in 15, 20 books. According to the upside is according to the resistance. But if you have trust in God, you don't care if somebody says no. If you fail, you come back again. So really, it's our failure, our weakness, and one day, if you have the regret that you never went all in on splitting in the Red Sea, it's the worst thing you can ever happen. It's the regret. I promise you, it doesn't go away. Failure, okay, I tried. What am I going to do? But when you have regret, that stays with you forever, and that's a feeling that it's going to put you in a very, very tough situation. So our job really is to have a combination of things. First of all, build trust. Second of all, stop focusing on things you can't control. That means we have to get out of the self-absorption role in our life. We have to get out of the self-comparison role in our life. How come he has and I don't have? Right now, it's not the time for you to have. People ask me all the time, do you think you have a girl for me? I said, you? With your brain? With your mentality? No thank you, you're not interested right now. You're going to last one round with this girl. Maybe not even half of a date you last. Because she's going to say something to you and you're going to throw a fork at her. You don't have the character to go out on a date with this girl. Work on your character, and then I'm going to shoot blanks. You think my reputation? I have a reputation. I don't just set up people. I've said so far a couple of couples, God willing, there's very good progress. But when they're ready, when the character's there, character means I have to chisel away all the garbage that's stopping me from going into my possession. I'm not future-oriented. I'm not about the past. I got to enter the moment and be present. And how do I do this? Through faith and serenity key. I can't control what I can. I can only control what I focus on. I can only control my stress level. Because what you're doing is, when a person sees things down here, upstairs they're saying, whoa, things are bad. He's saying things are bad down here. They must be bad upstairs. We are co-creators. So this class is really to empower you to have more trust. Forget everything else. Forget mindfulness, meditation. Forget all this. You need to immerse yourself in massive trust, because that's the only way we're going to fix our thoughts. That's the only way we're going to fix our vessels. That's the only way we're going to fix everything in our life, is all based on the umbrella of trust. Trusting means I don't have to check your phone every time. I believe you. I trust you. When I trust you, when you trust somebody, you don't have to check all the time. You don't get nervous what the guy's doing. You know everything's okay. But when you don't have the trust, that's when you can't sleep at night. You don't know what's going to be tomorrow. And it's really our problem. So that's one of the main things I pray every day in this book to do. Hashem, please, every situation is bigger in life. I need to have bigger trust. Because your trust has to increase. What you're going to trust today, tomorrow is not going to be enough. That's why trust has to be built. You need to build trust. We know that. We don't, in a marriage, how do you build a marriage? You need to build trust. How do you build trust? You go through sometimes situations that require to trust the person, and you got to go all in. So let's get out of this 5-minute video mentality. Let's go all in on trust, and I guarantee you, I promise you, if you start building your trust, I guarantee you, it's written here, the Torah is telling you, Reb Nachman's telling you, this is the key to wealth. Trust. All right? That's today's class.